You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good day and welcome to the Mushie Moment on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. And it's spring on the West Coast, baby.
Well, today it is spring on the East Coast too. We have sunshine. I think the last time I checked, it was 16 degrees out. Life is good.
Spring is springing, and that means summer is coming.
Oh, no, we can stay in spring. It gets too hot in the summer.
Oh, I love it. That's an excuse to go to the lake.
Do we need excuses to go to the water?
Probably not, but having them is awesome. Hey, get away from the door. Come here. Come sit on my lap. Come say hi. Say hi, everybody. Hi, Cindy.
Hello, Chica.
Are you ready for there? Did you see her hopping video on Instagram? She was
No, I
doing
haven't seen that one yet.
I'm going to get her a bunny ears and then film it again tomorrow so that I can put it up for Easter.
Is it you say there's a video of her hopping?
Yeah. Yeah, when I take her to the park first thing in the morning, there's an area where the field mice go, and she does this weird bounce. She just goes boing, 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 but it's only in this one area. So I got to try and get there before she gets there, and then I get the bounce.
Okay,
so I got the video of her bouncing.
Just a second, because we have the power of internet here that I got to show it.
Oh.
Because I found it. So if I do that and then hit the screen like that, everybody, this is Chikachu. Ready? There she goes, and she's gonna hop any second. Hop, 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 hop. That is cute.
So I'm gonna put bunny ears on her and then use one of those Easter songs and do one of those.
That's cute.
Have her own little Easter bunny reel.
Hop, 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 hop. That was cute. That isn't even what I was like envisioning when you first told me. Yeah.
How do you explain that? Like, how do you? She's hopping. It's like a weird bounce with all four legs. There's no run. My buddy said, yeah, it's like the Arctic fox. You see some of the videos of the Arctic fox bouncing on the snow, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. But I don't know where she got it from, but it makes me laugh.
It is super.
Hoppity Easter's on its way. Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
You just went stim stiminy in your head, didn't you?
Oh, there. I'm just sharing the podcast a little. Got it done. That's awesome. And we do have a guest today. He is, in case you can't tell from Steve's setup over here, our guest is going to be live in studio today, which is kind of a neat thing. And he will arrive in a moment.
And Chica will be sure to greet him with open barking.
We will all know when he arrives. Absolutely.
She's sitting up in the window of the vehicle right now, just scoping, going, come on, come on.
That's her favorite spot, is it not? Sitting in the window?
Oh man, like I would show you her sitting in the window, but then you would see all the dog snot all over the window from her sitting in the window.
Yeah, if you ever want to drive that anywhere, you're going to have to clean it.
Why? It looks just like my glasses do.
Yeah.
Wow. So what you got going on this week? Anything exciting?
Well, in my world, and an advertisement will be coming soon, there is a post on the Mushie Moment. I am working with another facilitator in the 5MEO realm who's been facilitating for quite a while. And I'm doing, more education because I truly believe that when we are doing what we do, you can never have enough education. So I'm learning from Chad Charles, who was also one of the teachers of the course I took from Mexico. Chad is a Canadian and has been working in the field and in breathwork for over 10 years. And I went and sat with him when I was in Toronto, actually, before I came out to BC. So Chad and I are working together, and we're doing what's called a shadowing project, where I have been I'm the person, I'm the fly on the wall, learning from Chad as he is serving people down here in Nova Scotia. So if you're from my area or want to travel to my area and you want to sit with a facilitator who has plenty of experience and be part of an educational project, please reach out to me and I can send you an email and give you the information. It's kind of an exciting project where, like I said, I get to learn and people have the opportunity to sit with a seasoned facilitator, being Chad.
Chica. Hey, guess what? That's Chica.
If somebody knocked on your door.
Should we introduce the guest?
Well, actually almost perfect timing. Why? I was pretty much done my spiel. And now, yes, our guest has arrived. And Steve, why don't you talk about our guest for a minute and then introduce him?
Well, I first met our guest at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference. And no, because I met him a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
So with my first meeting, he had a real neat thing where he had these. Was it a bag or a box?
I grow bags.
So it was a bag, and it had the mushrooms growing out of the bag, and he had lion's mane growing out of this bag. So you could actually bring it home and, grow your own lion's mane or grow your own chaga. And it was like, it was so freaking simple. And I was so amazed that I had to go over and introduce myself. And he's a regular, like we are at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference. We met him this round as well. And as he's sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Nathaniel King.
Hello.
Hello, Nathaniel. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
You know what happened? This dang fly flew in here. And it's about this big. And Chica's got it on the radar.
Yep.
So wherever the fly goes, up by the camera. So if it starts bouncing, that's just Chica trying to get the fly.
You'll see her ears poke up to the side. And yes. Welcome, Nathaniel. Why don't you share a little bit about you just to start? Like, I know what you do. I met you this past November. But why don't you tell us why you do what you do? And what you do.
Story of Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, my background is in mechanical engineering. I always wanted to be, an inventor of sorts and design cool things that creates value for people. How I came into loving mushrooms and psychedelics and spirit medicines was in 2019, my mother passed away. And it completely tore apart my family structure, and it really set me back in a lot of ways. But through that, I ended up connecting with my oldest brother really, really well. And prior to that, I'd always really stayed away from, mind-altering substances. But my brother convinced me I should do mushrooms with him. And so that 2019 was my first ever mushroom trip. We had 3.5 grams and we're at Shambhala. So it was quite an intense experience for the first go.
First time.
I'm not sure I'd recommend for other people to do it that way, but I loved it. It had just let me open up and play and feel myself again and vibe and dance. And the first few hours of the trip, I was completely mute, couldn't say a word, but was still able to connect with the people around me. So that had just completely opened me up to the plant medicines and realized like there's like something really powerful here. Sometime after that, about 4 years ago, I came for another visit out to BC. I was living in Nova Scotia at the time, and when I came out here, I met up with some friends that were building a lion's mane farm, and for the first time, they had served me fresh lion's mane, and it was delicious. I was just blown away. Like, I didn't even like eating mushrooms before that. Then I tried the lion's mane, and now I can't get enough of every type of gourmet mushroom. So I tried it. Wow, that's fantastic. That's delicious. You guys are building a farm to do this. And then I started reading into all the cognitive benefits of lion's mane mushrooms and thought, this is something that I want to be a part of. So I decided to stay, and I worked with them for a while to build their farm, and really for the last 4 years, it's been a fantastic experience of working with different cultivators and researchers to build prototypes or build parts of their systems for growing or processing different forms of mushrooms, and it's been a blast.
Wow. So, just to go back to the beginning, like I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. I lost my mom in 2017. I truly understand, how hard that is to work through. I'm really glad that your brother came along and said, "Hey, we should do this." And I'm really glad that you took the chance and you did that. It gives us a connection, I truly believe, to the spiritual side that it's beautifully healing. For me, it taught me that my mom is still always here with me. So I don't have to miss her as much as I thought I did. Does that make any sense? Yeah. Yeah. So that led you to gourmet mushrooms. Like, it's, I've heard of a lot of people going the other way around. And just for everybody to know, we saw Mika's, listen to me, Chica's ear pop up. We knew it was coming.
Okay. Of course, the fly has to fly right behind the laptop to the window. It can't go anywhere else. It's got to go right there. Come on, leave it alone.
So I've heard of a lot of people, like growing up eating mushrooms, learning a little bit more about the gourmet side and then heading to psilocybin. So I find it really interesting that you kind of took this other route around. Through the psilocybin, you found lion's mane. Correct?
And I still work around psilocybin quite a bit. And the cultivation of them all is pretty related. So
wow. So what of the gourmet ones have you actually grown?
Lion's mane, reishi, oysters. I'm gonna try some cordyceps pretty soon. I'm I've just started dosing cordyceps on most days, and I'm finding them quite nice. So
That's in our 7 mushroom blend. That's included. We have that in there as well. Yeah, they're yeah. So if you're gonna, I need to ask this question because we did an interview with John as well, and we were talking about the cordyceps, and he didn't know that it, is a parasite fungus that, infects its host, and then now he was like, "Is that how they still grow it?" And at that point, I didn't look it up, so I just said, "No, I'm sure there's a different medium or
they're
substrate."
usually grown on rice.
Okay.
That's the preferred way to do it. Although I'm sure if you're growing them on rice and you fed them some
Crickets and bugs and
and
no, I know that was a question he'd asked, and I actually had never looked it up. So I figured, well, if I ask you, so there it is. It's rice. That's funny. Hey, John, it's not grown on dead bugs anymore. Wow.
Funny.
So that's now when you grew them, were you growing them in those bags?
usually grow bags. I spent too much time trying to scrub out monotubs and whatnot. That I had.
Whose idea was the bags?
Well, the bags are pretty common.
Are they?
Yeah, there's a great company out of Texas called Unicorn Bags that makes the
Wow.
makes the bags.
So you get it with the
that are
substrate in there.
unclaimable
It's all wow, and you just
Well,
inoculate them. And,
they make the plastic bags, and then we
oh, so you're
we
getting
mix the substrate,
huge
pack them, and
yeah.
pasteurize them.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Because I gotta say, watching what you had at that show with the lion's mane growing out, and I was just like, it can't be that easy.
Well, I mean, as far as actually fruiting them off, that's the easy part. Yeah. Cultivation wise, most of it ends up being on just nurturing the organism. So it's growing them out on petri dishes, and usually if I start with a new culture, it never behaves the way I want it to. It takes several fruiting grounds and selecting your favorite one and growing that out on a petri dish and just really nurturing the organism to get it to where you're actually happy with the results. And then a nicely fruiting grow bag is
the end result of
piece
that.
of
So how much time is invested in that?
For me, it's usually about 3 months every growth cycle, and so usually I'm not happy with a product until the third growth cycle.
Oh yeah, because
So
you're nurturing and culturing and wow. I knew there was a lot of in there. I'm busy enough that it's like, man, there's people like you that are putting in the right energy, the right time, nurturing them, not just, hey, gotta get these suckers growing. So that's a beautiful thing. That's something that Cindy and I look for in all of our medicines. Is
yeah, there's been several growers that I've worked with that really just want to work with the final piece. They want to have a good culture and then just multiply it and get it straight to substrate, and get it fruiting as quick as possible. But it just they never seem to like that, right? And I mean, the guys I was working with, we really struggled to get anything to fruit off consistently and nicely until we just took over the whole process straight from spore, and then that was difficult because that slowed things down quite a bit to just.
But then end result comes out better,
way better. It ends up now
slow and steady. Put in the love, put in the energy, and let that living body grow.
Exactly. I mean, they breathe the same way we do. Breathe in oxygen, breathe out CO2.
Well, when you do some of the studying of our genome aspect, where there's 4 of our main building blocks are identical to the mushroom. Yeah. So we're just mushrooms with arms and legs.
Yeah, I've always felt that. Oh, I've felt a much stronger connection to the mushrooms than I ever have with plants. I usually say I've got blue thumbs, not green.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I started in the green thumb avenue because I kind of come in through a cannabis end of things.
Right.
You know, healing with cannabis, and then it grows into other medicines, and it's grown to where we're sitting now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to have a question. I've been butting in and interrupting you lots.
You have been butting in and interrupting me lots. Yeah, it's but you know, like there's been a lot of good conversation going on here, so it's good. Yeah.
No,
The only thing that I was gonna the only thing that I was gonna say is, you know, like when you said we look for people who, you know, produce the medicines in an ethical way, you know, that we look for that, and it's true. Because medicine and the intention in the medicine and the beauty that it brings starts from where it starts. And it's nice to find people that create medicines or grow medicines that have that intention from the beginning to help others heal and help others find their tools. So it's really refreshing to find people like yourself.
Yeah, it is actually. It's you know, it's nice to find people that are aware of energy in, energy out, and you know how what are you contributing, what are you amplifying, what are you growing? Because with that substance, you know, a lot of people don't realize if you grow lion's mane, somebody's eating that. Now you've put energy into that, you've put lots of stuff into that. And if you're growing it in an ethical, you know, loving, culturing way, the energy within that food is a lot different than somebody that's just out there throwing mushrooms into a substrate and going, they're not that good, but they're not that good. But, and it's like, no, if you want healing is always in, you know, it's the gut. So you put the best stuff you can in there, and healing energy and love going into that was one of the things that made me go, I like this guy.
Yep. That was the first thing that I was told about you, to be honest. Steve came back and said, blah, blah, blah. This guy does it this way. Does all. And I go, oh, well, yeah. Let's go talk. I think I was over at your booth 5 seconds later.
Yeah. Well, it's been a learning process. You know, I'm constantly trying to figure out how to improve what we do, and you know, right now I'm trying to prototype a concept for a freeze dryer, and because if we can preserve them better, then that holds a lot more value to the folks that consume them, and slowly switching over all of our inputs to be organic, and that's kind of been a challenge, but getting there.
Freeze-dried mushrooms.
Yeah, it preserves all the good stuff you want there a heck of a lot better.
Wow.
Because the freeze drying prevents oxidation, and so oxidation is breaking down of all the good stuff that you want. Cindy, are you out in Nova Scotia now?
I am, yeah. Yeah.
How is it out there?
Today it's beautiful. We've got nothing but blue skies, 15, 16 degrees. So right now it's good.
Yeah. Are you originally from Nova Scotia, or do you have
born and raised? Yeah. Yeah, little tiny town called Windsor, right, pretty much in the middle of the province.
I've been to Windsor lots.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that lives out there
Were you born and raised there, or where were you?
Well, half of my family was from Nova Scotia. When I moved back out there, I was living in Truro and Halifax.
Yeah.
And so most of my college friends are from Truro.
Right on. Yeah.
But is there any interesting work going on in the psychedelic industry out there?
He's trying, brother. I'm
trying freaking hard. There is, Health Canada has approved a couple of the licensed producers, because that's where it started. It was the licensed producers. The cannabis licensed producers started producing psilocybin. So I literally lived like a 2-minute walk away from the people here in Nova Scotia that started doing the studies. I was supposed to be part of one, but I decided to run off and do iboga, and they told me that I no longer qualified since I ran off and did iboga, which is fine. They got a little ticked off at me because finding people that came with the approval of doctors, like their own doctors, was quite hard. And I came with the approval of, everybody and knowledge. But I mean, that's okay. They worked with a number of veterans, 24, I think, to start. And then the second study was 136, if I remember correctly. So that's going on. We have a number of therapists here who are trained through Therasil to serve mushrooms. But Nova Scotia is very much, I mean, if you've spent any time here, Nova Scotia we're kind of at the back of the country with a lot of this stuff. People are scared. People are nervous. They have blinders on. They have blindfolds on. So the therapists that do hold the Therasil licensing down here won't do it without SAP approval. And that's, few and far between. Right now, I still think that they're sitting at 0 for approvals. So I don't know what work they're doing down here. I know that we have a ketamine clinic that just opened up. And I personally am not for ketamine, but for those that are, they have that opportunity now. What else is down here? There's a therapist that just opened up. She calls herself a psychedelic therapist, but she works with cannabis. You have to provide your own cannabis, smoke it before you get there, and then you go. It's just talk therapy. We have a psychedelic society that is traditionally Nova Scotia. They're scared of getting too loud about things that are scheduled. And I understand why. They've got some approvals going on. They've got some momentum. They're allowed to do things. They're not getting in trouble. So I can understand that. And then you've got, the handful of us. There's a couple of people that serve ayahuasca. I serve 5-MeO. And there's a number of psilocybin trip setters around the area. So it's very small, but it's growing. And then there's not very many people that are very loud about it, such as myself. But, we're getting there with our population growing and the fact that we've got so many people moving here from Vancouver. I'm very hopeful. Long answer to your question. My apologies.
No, that was great. Yeah. I mean, something I've loved about being in Vancouver the last 2 years is how open everyone is out here. And, obviously.
What did you think the first time you went to the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference?
I was blown away. Because, I mean, before that, I'd been to 420 events and things like that, where yes, it's, very outspoken people trying to promote something, but they're not serious people.
That's a good way to put it.
But the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference, we got to meet so many actual practitioners and folks that serve the medicines to people. And are seriously promoting legalization and safe practices,
Healing, helping people.
I got away with my first trip being at a gigantic music festival, but that's probably not the way that most people should come into it. To me, psilocybin represents something that is really, really powerful and can represent a lot of joy, but also stirs up a lot of negative emotions that need to be addressed as well. So, I love the, I love the, I don't want to say recreational. I want to say more joyful exploration of it. But
It's all medicinal. It's
but
all medicinal. Yeah. And it's about that time, Steve. It's a great time. Just saying.
Oh, is it time for us to take a break and let the people check out our sponsors and do that kind of thing? And we'll be right back with Nathaniel King.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Re-Rolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And welcome back to the Mushie Moment. April 15th, 2025. We're here with Rev Cindy.
Wrong way.
Nathaniel King. And myself, Steve Mather.
You were pointing to the wall, by the way, just so you know. I'm on the other side.
Right. So when I point to you, that you're on my screen, you're there.
Oh, really? Isn't that weird? On my screen, I'm on the other side.
Huh.
I'm over by Nathaniel.
Okay, so on the thing where it says Steve and Nathaniel on your screen, is it right?
Yep.
Because on my screen, Nathaniel's where Steve is, and I'm where.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Technical stuff. Has nothing to do with the show, but it's really kind of funny. Yes. You guys went and got a drink, I saw. Cup of tea?
yes,
You betcha.
Mushroom tea?
What's that?
Mushroom tea?
No, this is just turmeric tea from Steve.
Oh, just turmeric tea.
I did have some nice Lion's Mane cordyceps extracts in my coffee this morning, though.
I've got my 7 mushroom in here with cacao.
Yes.
Yeah.
You always have mushrooms with cacao.
Yes, mushrooms have changed my life. Who would have thought, eh? Who would have thought that mushrooms could change a life? And then there's not just the magic mushrooms that change lives, but all of those gourmet mushrooms are fucking magic and change lives as well. You know, the when you look up what they do for the gut biome and for healing processes, you know, lion's mane. Oh, you can look up published studies. You know, they used to say when I was growing up, nothing heals the brain tissue. Now it's like, oh, lion's mane heals brain tissue. Oh, and nerve ending. Oh, and the telomeres on nerve endings. Oh, who knew? So
Yeah.
if you need that fixed,
Yeah. And we know that. And Amanita, what it does for nerve pain and nerve regeneration, what psilocybin does to heal the synapses and the firing in the brain. Like it's pretty amazing.
so what's the amazing things you've learned about mushrooms?
Yeah, well, something I've learned about psychedelics is their abilities to cause neurogenesis, like we were just talking about. And I was recently reading something about, I thought a beautiful way to describe it, which was they have a way of allowing your brain, like reopening a critical period in your brain. So, like, you know, when you're a kid and you learn at different ages, your brains are just wide open, taking up so much information, and you learn a lot very quickly. Kids learn languages so quickly and easily. Well, psychedelics, you know, mushrooms and other forms as well, seem to be able to reopen those and allow you to take in and really significantly change your brain in a short period of time.
Yes.
Which is part of like why, you know, when I choose to have a psychedelic trip, I generally choose to have them in a somewhat social atmosphere, you know, with friends, and because when I have them, like, I want to be able to connect with people more, connect with people better, at a deeper level. So when I consume a psychedelic, that's what I focus on, as opposed to drawing completely inward.
Oh yeah.
So when you talk, you like to do the psychedelics in more of the recreational format. Are you talking specifically mushrooms?
Generally mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
They're interesting because there's so many ups and downs with the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And but
What about differences between strains?
you know, I'm not entirely convinced there's that much of a difference between strains. I find, especially because usually mushrooms that I consume, I've had a hand in making.
Yes, energy in, energy out.
I find that just knowing what's gone into it seems to have a different effect on the experience. But you know, there's some growers like to say a cube is a cube, meaning cubensis. Most of the strains that we will see are just a variation on cubensis. Even penis envy is it's a bit of an abstract cubensi, but it is still a cubensi. Just a few days ago, I was in Victoria talking to a grower who has started producing a lot of P. natalensis, which is not a cube, right? They're known to be a psychedelic mushroom which has a much clearer trip and much more awareness and presence than usual mushrooms. And it's
Still a psilocybin?
still a psilocybin mushroom, but not a cubensi mushroom like
Yeah.
golden teachers with
Yeah.
cubensi. And I've also met another grower who has done an outdoor grow and is cultivating pansianescence,
Wow.
which is usually described as more similar to an acid trip rather than a mushroom trip.
Yeah, they're listed
And-
kind of in the intense.
So
Really, really
it's
cool.
really, really cool to see because, you know, even 3 or 4 years ago, like meeting the different growers I've gotten to meet, they almost everything was all cubensis, and now that's becoming, now there's more variations.
That's pretty cool. I find that the different ones, they all speak a similar language, but I find they all have subtle differences. The accents are different, and some yell and some are nice and quiet. Just the personality of the different ones. Like for me, Penis Envy yells at me. Right? It kicks my ass and it yells at me. It goes, "Hey, guess what?"
Yeah.
Whereas the golden teachers, I find that a nice, healing, smooth. The conversation is beautiful. It's loving. It may be loving in a way that triggers something in my heart, and tears and that come, but it's always from a place of love and not a place of fear. Whereas some of those ones that are screaming, man, sometimes they scare me. I could say there's a little bit of fear pops in.
Have you ever been able to forage some of your own magic mushrooms?
I did when I was younger, but I wasn't conscious of what we were doing. I toured with some bands, and we just pull over the school bus down here and hit the golf courses and the cow pastures, but that was the little bluebell ones more so than
Liberty Bells.
Yeah. And then as time went on, it became the cubensi with the flat brown top. It goes into that position, nice bell on the top. But in the last 30 years, the only thing I've foraged is in the realm of the magic mushroom is the amanita.
Oh yeah,
the amanita grows like crazy out here.
That's been a fantastic one.
Oh man,
especially last fall, they were everywhere.
Yes, they were.
No, in the
sure were.
In the fall, when we were at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference, we were actually able to walk into the woods and find Liberty caps there.
Get out
at UBC campus.
Where was this?
Exactly.
At UBC campus, there's a lot of wild magic mushrooms that grow.
Nice.
Particularly in around the stairs near Wreck Beach. That's kind of where they're known. But it's just something totally different when you can pull something out of the wild.
Yeah, I did my first foraged mushroom soup. I noticed when I was going out where the amanitas were that where mushrooms grow. And you're like, no shit, king bullets that are, the stalk comes up and the head on it is this big. You're going to fit one in the soup pot. But I went down there. I'd keep bugging this friend of ours and send pictures. Edible or no? Edible or no? Edible or no? She'd guide me through. So I learned a lot while I was doing it as well. But I came home and made a big pot of 7 mushroom soup that was just unreal. It was my first time ever, going out and doing it. It was pretty awesome.
There's also something that's come about in the last couple of years is image recognition. So there's all kinds of apps now that you can use to identify the mushrooms. You just snap a picture of them in their environment.
Well, I was doing that, but it's like 50% this, 40% this, 50% good, 40% you're going to die.
They weren't very good a couple of years ago, but they've got a lot better.
I don't like that even 20% chance to die.
No, I've got a really good forager in my back pocket. She's, she learned how to forage from her mother, who learned how to forage from her mother. With Jessica in my back pocket, I don't need a nap.
Yeah, it's
we had her on the show too.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's definitely worth having a good reference book as well. I wouldn't trust just the app on its own, but
well, there's only 20% chance I'm gonna die. What the hell?
Good on you, Steve. I'm gonna call Jessica.
Yeah, like last fall, I found about 3 different types of amanitas. One of them was
the bright yellow one.
Yeah,
Pantherina.
Yeah, I found a beautiful one. It's the only one around it.
But I got a little area. I didn't know until I started researching Amanita because I was like, how come these ones are yellow? And then I started researching, and I know where there's a little patch that they actually grow. It's like, oh. So I'm in some Amanita groups, and it's kind of funny because, it's not one that everybody looks for, but some people are. Some people are like, oh, the Pantherina is stronger, and I wanted this, and and the big thing I learned about it, originally I was tapping and using it just for anxiety reduction, but when you start studying, it's monster for neuropathy as well. So a lot of people, they're doing tincture and pounding the tincture for neuropathy and stuff.
And one of the other great things about Amanita is we learned, one of the first things I learned was smoking it. If you smoke your Amanita that's been cured properly, throw it in with a little bit of cannabis for taste, it'll knock you out. I have the best sleeps when I smoke an Amanita joint.
And Amanita is smokable, but psilocybin isn't. Just so people know, don't try to smoke your mushrooms.
You ever try it?
Like smoking mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was fucking horrible. It was gross. And then I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, you shouldn't even do that because it's not good for your lungs, and it doesn't, It's like, yeah, those mushrooms, non-smoky. I didn't know when we first smoked that Amanita, like she rolled an Amanita joint, and we were smoking it, and I was like, halfway through the joint, I was like, what kind of pot is this? Jeez, there's no pot in there. I was like, oh, well, that's why it tastes way different. But it wasn't, you choke and you gag. It was really quite smooth. And I got to say, the sleep.
Yeah.
Right through the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Amanita and sleep because I've got a bunch of Amanitas that I foraged in the fall. And I was thinking that they might be really, really helpful for getting better sleep, but I'm not too sure the best way to dose them for that.
You can cap them and do them that way, or there's the smokability factor. Some people like to do tinctures, but I just did the capping because then you go, okay, I'm going to do 3 caps, see how that works. Okay, I'm going to try 4 caps, see how that works. And because everything with mushrooms is about finding your dose. Everybody's dose is so different, right? So it's just finding that dose. But honestly, usually if it's like I just want to fucking sleep and have a good sleep through the night now, I just sprinkle it in, and I roll a little doobie and sprinkle it in and smoke it there. It's not that it puts me to sleep. It's that I don't wake up as much through the night. My sleep is better.
Do you have it right before you go to sleep?
Yes. Yeah. Within about 20 minutes. Yeah.
And that's you've fully broken down the abitanic acid into Eskimo?
Yes. Yeah. So I do it. I do it in the. I do it in a. I've got a certain dehydrator that I can set the temperature on, so I'm running it. It's a lot of people say 80. Some people say 60 because you want more of that. I found that for myself, and because again I experiment with myself and I take it, and I found that I liked it 70 to 72.
Well, that's not bad. All the stuff I foraged, I tried at 70.
Yeah. So I found exactly in that area, I get the results I'm looking for. So there's none of the from it, not being converted over to the muscovol. And because in a lot of the groups I was in, people were like rigid on 80. But when you go to the Reddit blogs, the people are going, well, 80 kind of removes a bunch of what I'm trying to achieve with them. And that's where I found, that 70 to 75, try in there and see where they sit for you. Oh, should I be telling people that Reddit blogs is where I get some of my info?
Well, you got to be able to connect with people that are doing similar work.
Yeah, and doing the products. You got the guys right there. Hey, and I got to say, some of those blogs, man, some of the big words those people use and the science degrees they got, yikes. What?
Some of the big words they say, yeah.
Well, yeah.
You also have to have a good filter on there for what's bad information. But
yeah. Well, that's part of my PTSD made me so I don't trust a lot of people. So people spout stuff out, and then I go check the published studies. I just look it up.
Yeah.
Right? Because if there's not a trail to follow, I don't want to really be the blazer. right? There's people that have been blazing it for years. Thanks to the first humanoid that ate the one that killed somebody, and then they learned don't eat that one. Thank you. You know, somebody had to make the mistakes before it got to where we are now. And, you know, I'm quite happy with not being the guy pushing through the forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Cindy, you said there's a licensed grower in Windsor.
Well, a licensed producer. I can't remember the name of them. Like they're up the road from me. The name is escaping me, but they're Health Canada approved. They grow and did studies for Health Canada. Yeah.
Well, I'm out in Nova Scotia in May. It'd be really cool if I could get to go meet them and see their operation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they do tours quite yet. They might for somebody that you know is in the whole mushroom growing field. When I was there as a you know possible participant, so they didn't really show us much at all. But I mean, I got to look through the window, you know, see some racks that they had up where they were preparing to grow. They were in between grows at that point in time. And a lot of them now create the synthetic 4-ACO-DMT and work with that versus working with psilocin. You know, because what they were doing at first is they were growing the psilocybin, extracting the psilocin, and using the psilocin for studies. And I believe now they make 4-ACO-DMT and use that for a lot of the studies.
I think there's a company that I've met a few times at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference that were doing that. They were making psilocybin capsules to try and have a consistent dosage for studies.
Psilocin capsules. Or because the extracted psilocybin is psilocin, correct?
Yeah.
So psilocin capsules, or
I'm trying to recall it. Is it Therasil or Therasil's?
Therasil does the training. I don't know if they create the product as well.
It must be.
Honestly, I don't know. I know a little bit about the Therasil training, but I don't know if they're doing like creating product and doing the studies as well or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like later on today or tomorrow, I'll literally walk up the road and I'll take a picture of the name on the thing, and I'll send it to you in the chat that the three of us have going on. Because that's honestly the only way I'm going to remember the name.
You're going to be in Nova Scotia in May?
He's going to be in Nova Scotia in May. Yeah. No, I was gonna throw hints, right? That. Yeah, we should get together and have a cacao.
That would be very, very cool.
It would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so cool to meet different producers and see the work that they're doing. And, you know, I just want to get mushroom medicines out to people, and
absolutely,
you know, whether it's
gourmet or it's important. It's healing. It's, you know, it's like we've said a few times. You know, the gut healing. Everything starts in the gut. So
it was weird. Prior to COVID, I had been introduced to some people that were they were involved in the mushroom growing business. One of the gentlemen was from Europe. The guy that I can't remember his name. He had a whole bunch of videos and quite a brainiac aspect on it. And they had a bunch of UBC engineers working in there where they were making a tumbler that they would put the substrate in that slowly tumbled and kept the heat going, and they could inoculate while it was going. And then they would hang these, they built these big cages that they would hang the inoculated product in and grow. They like big special, like they sunk a lot of money into this place. And they just got like a $3 million investment when COVID hit, and everything just went boom. And then one of the guys grabbed the money and took off, and the scientist guy went back to his homeland. And I just went, "You guys had a genius idea here. What happened?"
A setup like that had to, what was it, mostly oysters that you were producing?
Their whole thing was about being able to have this thing turning because it was huge. It was the size of a big couch, the drum, full of the stuff, and they'd inoculate. So they were able to inoculate huge amount, like industrial amounts, and get them. I got invited in because I'm one of those guys that can track things and fix things,
Right.
and they brought me in, and that was my first introduction to anybody actually doing anything like that. But theirs was all like they I can't remember the name of the company. They were going onto the marketplace and getting investment and going to do this revolutionary way of industrial inoculation, but being completely consistent, I guess, because it's all in the one tub.
Because I did see
a
big tumbler machine that sounds a lot like you were describing, but it wasn't tumbling loose substrate. It was tumbling the grow bags. Once they had been inoculated, they get inoculated, sealed, put into a big long tumbler about the size of the couch, and that would mix them evenly.
Oh, I wonder if
Come out the
that
other
might have been.
side.
See, that might have been stage 2, because when I was in there, they were getting universities kids to come in and try and program. Oh, we need to slow the tumbler down. The drum. Okay, we need to. They were coming in. They were writing the programs for making this whole thing work. It was actually pretty amazing to watch. I was just like, yeah, this is really weird, but thank you, universe. This is it's a cool introduction to something that I would further end up walking into that realm.
Well, sadly, we've come to a time that, we're there.
Oh,
You look shocked.
thank you for joining us here on the Mushie Moment. Wow, I can't. Are you serious?
Yeah. We still have like another minute or two, but we're at that time that
Oh, okay. Well, wow, this has been awesome, brother.
It's
This has been
fun.
great.
Glad I could be on here.
Thanks for hanging out here with Rev Cindy. Oh, Nathaniel. And myself, Steve. Join us again next week for another awesome and informative Mushy Moment.
Bye, folks.
Much love.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.